Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, the 144,000, those men that are doing this work in sincerity and in truth around the four corners of the earth. And much love to the 1/3 and the innumerable multitude of you believers out there. To you all, I say Shalom. I'm the brother Yeshaya from the Great Millstone West Palm Beach Church. And I pray, Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. I'm not sure how long or short this lesson is going to be. I don't have too many scriptures, but really, I couldn't help do a lesson on this. I know y'all know we basically, of course, we always stick to prophecy, right? We always stick to what's in the scriptures, but this is scriptural too. But it jumped in my spirit to do this because this really shows the wickedness that's in the earth and how terrible people, starting with Esau and mankind, treats this earth, man. Right? And that just reminded me of a scripture first, actually. So this, because, and Salaki, I got my hand on the mic trying to type here. This started because yesterday, so Sunday, we left camp and we went to the brother's house, and the elder brother lawyer was with us too. And so, at first it was some folly or like a cartoon on the TV or something when we was there, the brother's children. But then, I was like, let me see the remote control. So I ended up changing it. And we was listening to some music while we had this going on, what was on the TV, and I clicked something. I was like, let's check this out. So we had the subtitles on and watching it. And the more and more we going over stuff, man, like just discussing things in the spirit, I kind of got upset. Like I got, not like furious, but I was bothered, man. My spirit was bothered by what I was seeing. So basically, it was a documentary or a film called A Plastic Ocean. I believe that's what it was called. A Plastic Ocean. And, you brothers, feel free to check it out, of course. But while watching that, it just displayed madness in the earth as far as filth and plastic, man. And, I'm going to get into some of the things that was going on in the film. But first, let me get this scripture. This is Isaiah 45:18. It says, "For thus saith the Lord Yahweh that created the heavens, the Most High himself that formed the earth and made it. He hath established it. He created it not in vain." Wow. "He formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord Yahweh, and there is none else." So he said he didn't create the earth in vain. He didn't create the earth for it to be destroyed. We know when we read Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, and about the third or fourth verse, it says that the earth abideth forever. It says one generation passeth away, but the earth abideth forever. So he didn't create this earth in vain. He didn't make this earth just to be jacked up, messed up, blown up, destroyed, nasty, filthy, right? If you understand the Most High, he's a man of cleanliness. They say in the world, cleanliness is next to godliness. All right. And we constantly talk about being a lively people, right? When you're lively and upright, Jake, it's some nasty Jakes out there. Don't get me wrong, y'all. It's some nasty Jakes, man. Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But usually those are ones with no home training, who have no dignity, who have no self-respect, who raised by terrible parents, who were not raised with house manners, things like that. But nonetheless, you think the kingdom of heaven is going to be how the streets of Babylon be looking? Absolutely not, man. If our streets are going to be paved with gold, you're not going to find trash everywhere, right? And filth, but ultimately, I don't know what I'm going to entitle this yet, but there is no, like, according to my knowledge and my studies, And I even believe a lawyer said this too. Plastic isn't in the Bible. And so, I was like, yeah, brother, you're right. And so then we started going over a few scriptures in our mind. And so I wanted to bring some of those scriptures out. But plastic, ultimately plastic comes from crude oil and natural gas. That's what they say. And so then they go through like certain processes, some, I don't know. The words, they make it sound, Esau like to use big words to say shit that you don't understand. But ultimately, it's not beneficial for you. Plastic, and so we started going into plastics and BPAs and forever chemicals and all of the things. Now, I'm not going to act like I don't use plastic, and I'm not going to act like plastic in many cases don't have their benefits, but you got to understand that is a man-made material. Okay. So now, obviously, I know they're using things that come out of the earth, but Esau knows how to corrupt anything that comes out of the earth. Lightning, call out Yabashimashah. Anything that comes out of the earth, Esau tainted it and corrupted it. Pills, technically, their base is like baking soda, right? Cocaine comes from starts with the cocoa leaf. So like it's a lot of things that Esau can use for wickedness, right? He knows how to turn things evil. So even so plastic in itself, man, like I said, yeah, if you get plastic bags from a grocery store, but I was even explaining, I prefer paper bags if you want to know the truth. Now I get it. Plastic bags, you can carry a lot more of them at one time. But if you look back at the old movies and things like that, the mothers who would come home from the grocery store, they always had paper bags. And like I was telling the brothers, I'm like, man, when you go, not too many stores do them. Some local farmers markets, things like that. Aldi still has them too. But when the times I do go to Aldi and I want to grab something, I prefer the paper bags over the plastic ones. I feel like they're more sturdy. Maybe not if you're carrying 1,000, but most of them only get a couple items. I'm not going in there getting groceries of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But things are more organized. The paper bags. But I get it. Plastic for trash, things like that. But different things have their usefulness. But the main part is Esau using plastic to destroy us in multiple ways, right? It's plastics in your foods. It's plastics and Teflon on your cooking pans, right? That's why, I was talking to the brothers. I've been using, the cast iron pan skillet. It's a little bit harder because if y'all do get a cast iron skillet, brother, and I'm going to get some scriptures, but I'm just talking about some things right now. A cast iron pan is really one of the best. Cast iron and stainless steel, I believe. It's, cast iron is one of the best things to eat out of. I get it. It might cook a little different, but really it's better for you. But if you get a cast iron pan, you can't be lazy. Or if you do, you just can't wash it. So this is the thing when you get a cast iron pan. That shit will rust, which lets you know the scriptures is real. It says, as iron rusted, so will his wickedness. So if you get a cast iron pan, if you say for instance you cook on it and then like normal dishes, you can sit it in the water and let it soak and sit overnight, and the next day you come back, you can rinse it off, wash it, and then it's good to go. You can't do that with a cast iron pan. Once you use it, you can soak it for a little while to get some of the gunk out of it, but not long, because after that you got to wash it off, then you have to dry it, and then you have to put oil on it so that it doesn't rust. So it takes more effort, but it's worth it because you're not ingesting terrible things that are bad for your body. But let me get here. I looked up, is plastic biodegradable? So y'all, biodegradable meaning that to degrade means to break down. So, and bio goes into the earth. So basically to break down into the earth, decompose. So I said, is plastic biodegradable? It says no. Most conventional plastics are not biodegradable. While they may break down into smaller pieces over time due to weathering and sunlight, this process, called photodegradation, doesn't truly decompose the plastic. It just reduces it to microplastics, which can still pollute the environment and harm wildlife. And so let me get some scriptures here, and then I'm gonna go into why that's harmful in a moment. All right. So I guess I might as well start off with this one. This is Romans 8:18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. And that's the suffering of this time. Have y'all seen this damn film, this documentary? Oh my God. And this picture is that I'm going to show is a slight compared to what it was. Like, people were living in these conditions, right? We were going into it. Esau pays these countries, I said, whoever the governor is, the mayor, they should be pissed about this and shouldn't allow these people to have that kind of stuff, because Esau is just dumping that shit over there. So what they'll do is Esau will pay another country millions of dollars to let them dump plastics. So they say recycle, they send the majority of that shit to another country. These plastic oceans. There was one area where they said there were one area. Now, there was plenty of areas where hundreds of people lived at. But one area says where 30 people live at. I think it was in Fiji, if I'm not mistaken. Which they don't tell you that with the Fiji water, right? There are some nice places in Fiji, obviously. But it was some places I was like, what the hell? I would have never thought. And most of them was Jakes, man. You could tell on this show, a lot of them, they was in the hoods. Them was Jakes, man. So one of the dudes the kids had a damn hat on backwards. They had their shirts off. I'm like, these little Jakes. They look like little Samoans, but some of them look like Guatemalans and stuff like that. But nonetheless, they say it was 30 people on this one part that lived in the area. And the shit was terrible, y'all. It was disgusting. I'm like, how do people even live like this? But it was, 30 people there. They said, I forgot how many. It says like one out of basically I did the math. It was one out of every 6 people have died there. It says like 5 out of 30 people died from cancer, just from the plastics and things like that being in their area, and the filth. You see? So it's like 1 out of every 6 people are going to die there. Like, that's crazy. That's a crazy stat, just knowing it, because of the filth that's in your area, and by cancer. It was by cancer. That's plastic causes cancer too. Okay, and they put this in your food. We drink out of plastic. That's why I be like, brothers, I get it. I got plastic bottles too. That's what I was telling Akim. I got plastic bottles too. But when I'm in the house, if I can, I'll take my my glass. I'll get a bottle of water, and I pour it into a glass first, or getting like, I want to get like a filter thing or something like that, man. The glass, you can get the glass filter things. But you drink that shit, and your microplastics, all that stuff is getting in your body. All of your food packaging. Now, I know at the end of the day, we in slavery, we in Babylon, and some things you just can't get around, man. But that's why we're waiting for the glory of the Lord that's going to be revealed, because things like this, you would just think this shouldn't be happening. You would think on the list of reasons people die, it should not be because their land is contaminated with plastic and junk. That's how you know Esau's the devil, man. Right? You ruling the earth. It says when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. That's a mourning, man. Oh yeah, you lost your cousin because of death, because Esau is dropping fucking plastic off on your country. You see? And one time at night, we had fellowship on the beach. We saw 2 garbage trucks, boats, go out filled with trash in the middle of the night. It had to be like 12 o'clock at night. And we saw 2 of them. We like, where the hell is they going with all of that trash, man? It was crazy. But anyway, so we waiting for these are sufferings at this present time that we even got to deal with, But the glory that's going to come, and we ain't going to have to deal with this in the kingdom of heaven. It says, for the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. So all these different animals, these plant life, wildlife, everything's waiting for Yahweh Shem Shah to glorify his elect, because we're going to set this earth right through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah. It says, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of the Most High. You see, so the creature itself going to be delivered. The earth itself, animals, they're going to be delivered from the bondage, corruption. This is corrupt what's going on in the earth right now. This is bondage. That's hell. And maybe I'm going to have to show a picture of one of the things that I'm talking about. It says, for we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now, man. All right. So during this, we saw they were getting some of the birds and animals that were dying. They were cutting open birds and they were filled with plastic, y'all. The damn inside of the birds looked like imagine a trash plastic bag, a bag filled with other plastics. You had straws in there, you had fucking bottle caps, all inside the bird's body. They showed a turtle trying to eat a jellyfish. He ended up eating plastic because he thought it was like the jellyfish. You see? So the whole creation is groaning, man. All right. So that's sickening, man. All right. Let me get I'm gonna read this. This is First Chronicles 29:2. It says, "Now I have prepared with all my might for the house of my power, the gold for things to be made of gold, and the silver for things of silver, and the brass for things of brass, the iron for things of iron, and wood for things of wood, onyx stones and stones to be set, glistering stones and of diverse colors, and all manner of precious stones and marble stones in abundance." You see, these are the types of things. So when King Solomon was creating the house, when the temple was being made, when the things were being laid in the ancient world, we were using stone, we were using wood, right? In the kingdom of heaven, it says the kingdom is going to be built up with stones, all right? Now these houses, they damn near made of plastic, fucking drywall and shit like this. Like, everything is cheap, everything is corroded, everything is, yeah, I told the brothers, Esau is always trying to make the maximum amount of profit while using the least amount of expenses. So he'll give you the cheapest things, and just so he can get the most amount of money off of you, right? And so what they like, why would we give them wood when we can get them plastic? Why give them silver and gold when we give them plastic? You know, why give them glass when we can give them plastic? All right. So it's like, Gabar was even like, when they used to have the milkman used to come to the house and he had glasses of milk, right? I remember they used to have the, where they would drop them and then all the milk would break. You know what I'm saying? And I get it, that shit was heavier, but it's worth it. It's worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because now everything is so jacked up. That's another reason they got to do all of that kind of stuff, man. But glistering stones, diverse colors. These are the things that we gonna have. And hey, we ain't gonna care about heaviness in the kingdom, no way. We gonna have spiritual power. We not gonna care about the weight about something. And hey, I got another one for y'all. We gonna have slaves. So hey, y'all carry that. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna have a house made of plastic. We're not gonna be drinking out of plastic bottles in the kingdom of heaven, right? You're not going to be making, we're not going to be eating off of Teflon and having microplastics in your body in the kingdom of heaven. So that's how that's a part of Esau's wickedness, man. Destroy the people. That's what his mindset is. Destroy them by any means necessary, by any way necessary. All right. I'm going to get it. This is Isaiah 60 and verse 17. It says, "For brass will I bring gold, and for iron will I bring silver, and for wood, brass, and for stones, iron. I will also make thy officers peace and thine exactors righteousness." So the Lord gave you the download here, how this is an upgrading of things, right? So things that are brass are going to be gold instead. Things that are iron are going to be silver instead. Things that are wood are going to be brass instead. And things that are stones, and these are talking about like regular stones, like rocks, are going to be iron. All right. And it says, "I will make thy officers peace." Right. So Esau's officers aren't peace. The people that were doing the documentary, they're just pointing the things out. They're trying to bring light to the situation, but there should be an uproar about this, man. But the world only makes little things about it, but they don't care. They should stop making this, man, to see what it was doing to this world, man, doing to the animals. Right. And Esau poured trash in the water and oil spills. And instead of just saying, hey, let's find a way to not utilize this and not create it, right? Then say, nah, we just going to dump the shit off on somebody else. We're gonna make our problem somebody else's problem. Let's use these poor countries and dump it off. This and the mayors of these areas should say, nah, we're not allowing that. Okay? And we know Americans are the biggest consumers in the world. Like I said, yeah, I'm not gonna act like I'm sure in a so way I'm part of the problem because I use plastic bottles too, right? But I try to be mindful to not use things like that. I try to use other alternatives. And mainly, it's one thing with the oceans, but also poisoning yourself, right, with these bodies. And I guess that's the biggest thing because we in hell, y'all. So it's things that we just can't get around, right? It's plastic is in our everyday lives, but you still try to make your best effort to do right by yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's the scripture say, do good unto thyself, you know? Right? You wonder why people, if they had an area like that and 5 out of the 30 people that were there, yep, that's what it was. 5 out of 30 people caught cancer. That means plastic is cancer forming. So if that's something that you're constantly putting in your body, and then we started to talk, which is a problem. Then we started to talk about underwear, and I'm not trying to get out of pocket, so to speak, but we talk about testosterone. We started talking about ED and impotent, men being impotent. All your underwear, you're supposed to buy cotton underwear. You're buying underwear that's full of plastic and polyester and things like that. So you wondering why you got problems with your rod and why it don't work right, because you wearing plastics all around the area that's not meant for that. All right. The scriptures talk about mixed linens of wool, and basically wool and linen, because they counteract each other, they cancel each other out. But certain fabrics are not good for your skin. That's why certain things you'll put on you'll break out. But you're not supposed to be putting all that kind of madness on your sack, man. You're supposed to care about that area. That's what I told the brother. Like, shit, man. It says a man has his word and his balls, and I'm trying to keep both. So you got to be mindful of these kind of things. Going into verse 18, it says, violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. That's destruction within the borders, man. Seeing that plastic everywhere, plastic ocean, plastic earth, animals filled with plastic. They crying the hell out, man. Thinking they got food in their bodies, and their bodies are full of plastic, man. Right? So we're not going to hear about that kind of violence. We're not going to have that destruction within our borders. It says, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. Those are gates of the city. Even if you got an entrance in by the ocean, that's still a gate. It's an entryway into the city. Ain't nobody taking tours over there like let's go on vacation and pull up to this trash land with all this plastic in the water and on the beach side. But they got people living in those environments. Some of them was hundreds of people living in them areas, man. And it just don't break down. Esau can make it biodegradable. He has the technology to make it where it does break down. But he's like, hell no. Why? It's just going to destroy more, kill more people. That's what we want. All right? Esau is the devil. The so-called white man is the devil. He does not care about the people of this earth. All right? Let me see here. I really only got one more verse. That's what I say. I don't know how long it's going to be. Let me see. I'm going to just go ahead and read it. This is even straw in the scriptures, but straw is hay. All right? Straw is not straws. All right? That's why even and that was another thing. They were showing pictures of everywhere you go, they putting plastic into your face. You go to the store, you get plastic bottles. You go to the restaurants, they give you plastic forks and spoons and straws. Everything is plastic that you put into your mouth instead of giving you things that are good. Glass is actually beneficial for you. I always used to use this example. Even though Kool-Aid when we were younger, we always made Kool-Aid at the house, okay? And at my house, we always used to use this plastic pitcher to put the Kool-Aid in. But every time we go over Granny house, Granny always had her Kool-Aid in a glass container. And I used to swear when I was little, I used to be like, y'all, Granny Kool-Aid is so good. They used to be like, Granny, how much sugar you put in your Kool-Aid? And it was just the same amount of sugar as we did. But I could never figure it out until I got older. I'm like, that's because Granny was always putting hers in glass. You see what I'm saying? So things is better for you. That's why, like, you put drinks in glass or drinks in copper. You know, I don't get down with the copper, but copper is good for you. But I don't get like the copper ones because eventually they start to turn green a little bit and shit like that turns me off. But having your drinks in different types of containers is better for you, and it tastes better. It's better for your body, you know? And so things like that the Lord shows us that the world, Esau is just being a devil on so many levels. He destroys your food. He destroys your water. He's getting microplastics in you. And you know, it's something they had. Let me look up the thing BPAs real quick. When I put that picture of that animal in there, I might have to put that picture of that bird. It says BPA stands for bisphenol A. It is a chemical compound used in the production of polycarbonate, plastics, and epoxy resins. It says BPA is found in various plastic products, including water bottles, food storage containers, baby bottles, sports equipment, and canned food and beverage linings. It is an endocrine disruptor, meaning it can interfere with the body's hormone system. So you wonder why your hormones be acting up. You wonder why men don't have any self-control. You wonder why so many sodomites out here. It's raising estrogen and lowering testosterone in men, and is destroying estrogen in women. That's why they're acting more masculine. All the hormonal balance is out of whack. Some studies have linked BPA exposure to health problems such as obesity, reproductive issues, and cancer. So you wonder why people are having more cancer. You wonder why people are even more obese. And who uses the most plastic in the world? America, the most consumerist country in the world, right? It says reproductive issues. So now when a man is wondering why his rod ain't working right, why his sperm is blank, shooting blanks, why women aren't having children. Hey, plastics and BPAs are part of the cause. I'm not saying that the whole cause, but they're part of the cause, right? Plastic pollution, man. All right. Esau is a devil and he does not care, man. It says if it was up to him, there would be no flesh saved. Death by plastic is crazy. This is Revelation, and this is the last one I'm going to get. This is Revelation 11 and verse 18. It says, matter of fact, I'm going to start at 17. It says, saying, we give thee thanks, O Lord, power almighty, which art and wast and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned. Yahweh Shem Shai is going to come, and they're going to reign, and they're going to show this world how to do it in righteousness. Our kingdom is going to be clean and pure and free of trash and debris and waste. You know, I always remember Apostle Ramlab said, this earth, the Babylon stinks. And I hate that. Down in Florida, we got areas where you pass like sewage, man. You know, and like it's like in the same spots. I'll be driving in my car. You know, I got certain areas I just know I'm about to hold my breath. Even when you roll your windows up, you still smell it. It's all filthy. It's disgusting, man. You know, Esau is nasty. All right. And don't even know what to do with the problems that he's created. And I'm sure sanitation ain't easy to deal with. But the thing is, Esau has the technology to do it. Y'all got to understand this. It ain't like he's like, oh, this is the best. Esau knows what he's doing is wicked. And he's not trying to clean things up. He's not trying to give you better food. He can. He don't want to. That's why they got FDA giving you out pollution, giving you red 40 and yellow 5 and everything, right? Giving you seed oils. They know it's a problem, but they want to destroy you. Giving you bad food, bad water, putting plastics in everything, right? They know they can fix. They have the technology to fix all of these problems, but they don't. It says verse 18, and the nations were angry and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, right? It's about to judge. The Lord's about to judge the heathen, man, because they filthy and shit. You know, the nastiest place in the world is India. You know, a lot of this trash be dumped over in that place. The Indians, I forgot the percentage, but they say like half of the country shits outside. They be rolling around in feces, you know, eating it, playing in it, rubbing themselves in it, all that kind of stuff. But they just nasty, man. You know, But Esau be dumping it over there. Esau dumping it there. He dumping it in Italy. He dumping it in different parts of Europe. Dumping it in Africa. Dumping it on these different islands. Like that one of them was in Sri Lanka. You know what I'm saying? Esau don't care. F him. I'll pay you some money. Take the trash. All right. It says that they should be judged and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets. Right? The Lord's going to reward the prophets because we're the ones sighing and crying for the abominations that be done here. The abomination ultimately goes into a defiled and detestable thing. You know, we know that's ultimately something that's a sin, essentially. But shit, that plastic ocean shit, that's abomination, man. People should be upset about that. What's happening to the animal? You imagine you about to open a damn fish and it's full of plastic. You about to eat it and it's full of plastic, man. All right. It probably do sometimes because when you go and get the fish, like whenever we go to the butcher, they go and clean the fish out first. They clean it out, get all the guts and stuff out. They probably do be having plastic in it. And they just don't say nothing until you clean it up and then give it to you. But the Lord's going to reward his servants, the men that have been following after him, okay, and doing the things that he required. It says, and to the saints and them that fear thy name, the ones that fear his name are the men of Great Millstone and the like camps, man, right? It says, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. So you got something interesting going on. He said he's going to save and help and reward the prophets, his saints, right? The ones that fear his name. But he's also, on the other hand, he's going to destroy them that destroy the earth. And that's literally a destruction of the earth. You know? Could you imagine how many years that stuff could pile up? You know? Remember they said that, they want to shoot, trash into space and shit. Esau will do anything to rid himself of the problems instead of fixing the problem. Because they got like I looked it up, they got biodegradable plastic. You know? They be saying recycling. All your recycling is just sent to another goddamn country, man. On the goddamn beach line and in other people's civilizations. You know? So like I said, I understand brothers gonna use plastic. I ain't trying to say, hey, don't use no plastic. I'm not saying that. But try to do better for yourself, man. And we got to pray to the Lord to destroy Babylon so we can get the hell up out of here, man. Because this place is out of whack, man. But the Lord is going to destroy this place. All right? And Babylon going to be ultimately destroyed through and through, man. And through. It's going to be through. But hey, Lord willing, I pray this lesson was edifying. Y'all brothers check that out if you like. It was on YouTube for the free. All right, with that, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachakodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who do real well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. Until next time, Shalom.